Brian recorder, Brian. Too many Brians. Okay, thank you. Good evening, and I just really want to welcome everybody who is at the meeting tonight. And it's so exciting to get back into our Warrior Spotlight and to have students here and families here and part of the, you know, it's like the community comes in and sees us, and we're so pleased to have you here. We started at 6 o'clock, so the meeting is in session. What I would like to do at this point is just approve our minutes from our last regular board meeting, and we had a summer board workshop in August, and so I would like to take any concerns you have about those minutes, and if there are none, to ask for approval of those.
Motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Second. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Thank you. Next, I need approval of the agenda, and we're going to make one small modification in the order of that agenda. We're going to have our student reps, and then our teacher reps, and then our Warrior Spotlight. So we're just going to switch 2 items there, and everything else is good, Dr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay. So with that switch, I need approval of the agenda. So moved. You got something over there, Rebecca? Perfect. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Next is our public comment time. If anybody wants to speak to us, they do have that opportunity. I did not get anybody desiring to do that tonight. So we are down to our reports, which is a fun time. So first we have our student report. We have 2 students who did this for us last year back. Ms. Abigail Anderson and Lena Wagner. So come on up, ladies. Good to have you back with us. So after 5 days, right? Tell us what's happening.
Well, we just thought since it's a new school year, we just do like a shorter introduction since we were here last year. But I'm Alina. Some of the main extracurriculars that I'm involved in that like I'll try to tell you guys about, and more that I'm not involved in. I'm president of French Club and FFA, and then I'm also an officer for Student Council and Drama Club, so I partake in a lot of the theater and arts that happens at the high school.
And I'm Abby. I am an officer for Student Council and FFA, and then also in music, cross country, and a youth apprenticeship this year. So to start, tomorrow is our club org fair, which is just where a bunch of the clubs gather and try to get new members, and the freshmen and other underclassmen walk around and sign up for a bunch of them. So that's tomorrow, and so every club is getting ready for it.
Waunakee is starting up. They've had 2 meetings to talk about it, and this year they're doing something a little different. So if you didn't know, Waunakee is like the competitive theater that the high school offers that goes through the fall. And instead of having just one act this year, we're having 2. So one of them will compete like in real life on stage, and then the other will compete virtually. So a video will be submitted of the performance. So it's just a way to get more students involved and have more kids get roles.
For FFA, Heritage Fest just happened yesterday. It was good to get a lot of the participation that we did, and a lot of kids came around and tried all the fun activities. And then this year, we're hoping to get more middle school involvement as well.
For Student Council, we started talking about some of our goals for the upcoming year, and obviously that continues to just be more student involvement and talking to students about change that they want to see in the school. And something that Abby and I talked about just for like this particularly is we have a Google Drive that's shared between us and all of our members that everyone has access to. So we were talking about putting just a very simple Google form in that someone can submit anything they'd want us to bring up here. And obviously we'll go through it and check it and everything, but it would just be a better way to get more voices here through us.
Good idea.
And then a cappella is starting this week. Every Wednesday morning they meet at 7:15, so that's just another club opportunity. And then Formata, the music and theater organization, had a fundraiser at Lone Girl last Sunday. It was called Raise the Roof, so they just have bands playing. There was a student band playing there as well, which is really cool. And I'm not sure how much money they raised. noise, but it's always a fun event.
The band played at the first football game, first home game in the school year, and it went pretty well for having a day of school before the performance. And then forensics also had summer practices to get ready for the year.
Freshman first day happened, and that was a super cool opportunity, not only for the freshmen, but also some of the upperclassmen got invited to be tour guides and mentors for the freshmen on that day. So I know Abby and I were there, and a lot of other juniors and seniors, and we just got to do like get to know you games with them and show them around the school and answer any questions they had. So it was just like a nice way to slowly get them ready for the school year.
And then youth apprenticeships have already started in the summer and are going on currently. I know a lot of kids are doing them this year, a lot of people I know and me myself. And yeah, just really great opportunity.
Homecoming shirts are available now, which seems like a long ways away, but it's gonna sneak up on us quickly.
And then finally, the new student lunch is also coming up, and we'll be participating in that and helping the new students. And then we just want to say thank you for having us back this year. We're looking forward to giving more updates.
Thank you. You are, I mean, you guys just, you dig for stuff to bring here. I love that. Good job.
Thank you.
Anybody have any comments, questions to our team?
Do we have a theme for homecoming this year?
I don't know if they've come up with that yet.
Okay.
Do we normally?
Do we normally?
That's actually a fair question. I think it's usually prom that has a more prominent theme
Okay.
and winter
All right.
formal, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
No idea.
When is homecoming?
October 4th. I
Okay.
think, yes.
Will be, you can report back when you come in October.
Yeah, there we go. We'll let you know what day it is.
And you'll let us know that theme.
Yeah, there we go.
Love it. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
ladies. We just love your little reports. Thank you. And now we're going to have the WTA. We have Chris Holikowski and Connie Fry. Come up.
And Dr. Brown, thanks for the question about the theme, because it's the report from the boots on the ground.
I love it, thank you.
My name is Christy Nowakowski. I teach kindergarten at Prairie, and I'm Connie Fry. I also teach kindergarten at Prairie. And we're here representing the WTA and voices of the teaching population to report in for you today. So we wanted to just start out with several celebrations and pieces of gratitude beginning the school year, having the work time built in with a split work day. We appreciated the opportunity to explore that as a new option. Also looking at potentially continuing to explore PD in that afternoon and workday in the morning. Many appreciations were that the work time was provided also before and after open house with that split time. Again, appreciations for the difference in schedule, having the kickoff being midweek. There were a lot of ways for us to meet with our buildings and teachers to kind of have that time together before we attended the kickoff. We really appreciated the dancers and board members and other stakeholders on stage. That many people said that that was a really fun experience. Sincere appreciations for the relevant, purposeful, and inspiring guest speaker. There is a resounding just accolade for having Edward Shazer, I think I'm pronouncing his
DeShazer.
Yes, name correctly. And there was a question, Dr. Brown, if you wrote a poem or that you shared.
Yes, I wrote that one, but I'm not a poem writer, just
Okay.
so I just wanted to be
Well,
special.
you wrote a poem, so you're a poem writer.
Well, I guess I am now, right? I just wanted to be special for the staff, yes.
And as a kindergarten teacher, you're a poet and you didn't know it.
Okay, all right, I'll take it, thank you.
So appreciations for that. There were a few questions and concerns. We understand that it is out of your control, but busing problems are consistently happening. There was a lack of communication between leadership. It's difficult to, from lamers, and very delayed communication to buildings and then teachers, especially with our youngest learners, on how to transport those kids. And I think that continues to be a problem from what we're hearing. We know that students get dropped off in wrong places at times, but I feel like, as it has been shared with us, it's really important for us to continue to communicate that. Route changes, supervision on buses, students, again, getting dropped off in wrong places, and then some of those repeated errors. So understanding that's not in your control, but I think it's important for that to be continually reported. There was some concern from staff that the extensiveness of the CISA training, the trauma-informed classroom management, was not necessarily relevant and fresh information, repeated, and although that's important, and not sure that all staff attended that or was involved in that. So just a little concern, maybe something to dig in there. And then,
Any questions?
Any
or
questions for us
concerns that we need
to take back?
None that I can think of.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so at this point, we have our guest of honors, our Warrior Spotlight team, and I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Brown.
Yes, so we'll in turn turn it over to Dean and team. So
Yeah, we've
today,
got quite a team here tonight.
yeah, everybody come on up.
We'll kind of spread out some of our goods.
So we're gonna have a demonstration of the Prairie Garden Group this
Yes.
evening, right?
No.
So we'll turn it
Yeah,
over.
go ahead, turn it over. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having us here tonight and being part of the Warrior Spotlight. So we have the Gardens at Prairie, which is it's hard to believe it's over 11 years old already. It's something that we have received an opportunity to include as a learning space in our building. And I've got a number of individuals here who are going to share a little bit more about the Gardens at Prairie. We've got some current and former students, and also current and retired staff member as well, that has kind of adopted the garden. We also have Denise Farnsworth in the audience back here, who was really instrumental with the beginnings of it. So, turn it over to them, because this is who you want to hear from, and they have all the good information to share with you, and the impacts that the gardens have had with them and their learning.
Okay.
So if someone up there could either run the clicker or the
Okay.
mouse, that would be good.
Okay. That's me?
And you can see this on your computers too?
We can.
Okay, because we have some pictures and you might know some people on there too. All right, let's go to the first one. So before we begin, I'm Trish Chainson. I had Mark's daughter, Katie, my first year, I believe. I'm retired, so this is my second year of retirement, and it's gone really fast. But I'm really excited to have kids who I've had in third grade, and then we have new students who are in Evie's class. So we're going to go through the slides and take a look at pictures too. It's really great. So we start out, why a garden? A school garden is more than just a patch of soil. It's a living classroom where students have explored science, nutrition, and sustainability. By participating in the garden, students learn about the life cycles of plants, the importance of healthy eating, and the value of caring for our environment. Families have also had the opportunity to engage in this enriching experience, creating lasting memories and connections with our community. And it's been really neat to see the kids come back, talk about how they've been planting at home, but also bringing their families back to the garden. And we'd like to just look at the pictures, and the kids who are here are in the pictures as well. All right. All right, so we talked about all of us are here and when the garden started. So this is a little timeline, past, present, and future. So the fall of spring and fall of 2014, there was a grant written by fellow teacher here, Denise Funset, who's at Arboretum, and teaches 3rd grade. And Deanna Shatterberg also was part of that. And they got a grant from Dane Grove grant application submitted and received by Prairie. To get it started, it was installed by volunteers, students, family, teachers, and we also get our plants from the greenhouse at the high school. So they have that sale, and then what's left over we use, and then sometimes we also get from friends. We know our gardens. I know Klein Floral has donated some plants as well. In addition to that, to let people know more about the garden, we've had a Facebook page developed showcasing the transformation of the garden and what we're doing every day and throughout the years. So, and we also have that garden, there's more the Waunakee, it's everyone in the community can see it. We always have a prairie garden. So there's 2 Facebook pages. So it's been really neat to see that. So again, we've been having a decade of growth and learning. You can see kids in here and how exciting it's been for them to plant, to harvest, and I just see a picture on the corner too. A lot of these kids were tilling, just getting the soil ready and for this coming year, which is, if you have time to go look at the garden, it's amazing how well it looks, and it's really grown wonderfully. Okay.
So as we know, there's a lot of benefits to learning outside of the classroom. So this is a great opportunity for us at Prairie to get outside of our classroom doors and get out in the fresh air and develop lots of amazing skills. So it's another learning environment for everybody in the school. And they use it during the summer too, during summer school. So students can engage with nature, and it fosters those hands-on learning experiences that we know everybody benefits from, but especially certain population of students can really benefit from those types of opportunities outside of the classroom. Develops lifelong skills of gardening, so we start talking about the seeds in the classroom, and we learn about it within our science curriculum and the life cycle of plants. And like Trish was saying, we follow it through fall, and we're cleaning out the garden. So it's a whole year of working through the garden. It exposes students to healthy food options. So what we grow, we eat. We go out there and collect things. Sometimes if there's enough, it's in the cafeteria. Sometimes if it's not, it's in certain classrooms, but anybody's welcome to take it, as well as people in the community. It provides those SEL supports and options. So mindfulness, we go out there to read, behavior regulation. There's students that's kind of a safe place for them, and they might just need a break out there. And it provides a peaceful learning space. So I know people use it for lots of other reasons besides just the gardening aspect. Provides opportunities for past staff and community members to volunteer by painting, building, planting, and weeding. So a garden is a living, breathing thing, but all of those beautiful pieces to it, the benches, the garden beds, the trellises, all need maintaining. And so retired teachers like Trish participated in that still, and that's wonderful. We open it up to the community and family members of students who help mulch and do lots of stuff. So it's a great community opportunity for not only Prairie families, but anybody in Waunakee. So it makes learning more memorable and impactful for the students, which is kind of our showcase here. These guys all wanted to come and share about it because it does really leave a lasting memory for them at Prairie.
I want to mention too, Joan's husband, Tom, is in there. We made the benches last year. So it's just great. People are wanting to be involved and to help out, which has been wonderful. Okay, so growing food, understanding nutrition and responsibility. So this is one picture of my class, and my kids right here, that you can see what we've been doing in the classroom. But gardening teaches students the importance of nutrition and a sense of responsibility as they learn to care for plants and appreciate where their food comes from. As you can see here, the students were part of all the steps of planting, harvesting, and this right now, we were taking leaves off, I love it, basil and sage, and we made pesto in the classroom. We made sage pesto. We tasted many of the foods. The kids would share with you what we made, yeah. But salsa, we made salsa, that's right. But we shared the harvest in the lunchroom and exposing kids to new and healthy food options. And last year, the kids all tried Brussels sprouts. So I was serving to the kids, we had the kitchen make them, and kids are first like, no. But then once other kids took one, then the kids were coming up back for more. So we decided to walk around, everyone took a no thank you bite, we said. And they enjoyed them, so it was neat to see kids. And parents have been emailing saying, my child likes kale, but we made kale chips. So it's just neat, we're educating kids, but also parents. So that was just a gift for all of us, and we learned a lot that way. And then again, we used to send students, I said right here, brought experiences home and created gardens with their own families.
I think our KK and
Yeah.
Emma gonna share on this one
Yeah.
about their experiences in the classroom.
Who wants to go first? It was really just a good experience, and my favorite thing was we found a giant cucumber in the garden. I remember it was like that big. And we cut it up and made pickles,
Yes, we did that.
and that was really fun. And I really also enjoyed going out and like over the season we picked up and learning to draw it and like journal about it and watch how I grow and learn about what we eat. That was really cool. I enjoyed eating the arroyo berries and making pickles in Miss Jameson's class. I liked having an outdoor class, and it was special because I met good friends.
All right, so why is the Prairie Community Garden important to our building and our curriculum? So Prairie is the only K-4 building in the district with a garden. We know there's one at the high school, but we're the only elementary school that has one. So it's special to us. Students learn life cycles of plants. Like I said, that's embedded in our science curriculum, and then it's a great opportunity to get out and see that hands-on learning through there. We also are learning about the insects during the school year. And thank you. And during summer school as well, I mentioned that as well. So students are out there in the summer too. Outdoor classroom provides a learning space for all subject areas, reading, writing, science, math. We're out there for all of them. So it's not just that science piece. There's always classes out there using it for various opportunities in different curriculum areas. And it's an alternative way to teach. So if you need a break from the indoor space, you need a break from your classroom, it's a great space to just utilize, to get outside, some fresh air. And it doesn't mean you have to stop what you're doing in the classroom, you're just taking it out to a new space. So we're lucky enough to have a large science resource cart, and that's the bottom picture there. And this is something that's available to all grade levels so that you can not only use the curriculum that we use in the classroom for science, but it's alternative materials or additional materials to kind of enrich that opportunity for the students, whatever it might be that you're doing out in the garden with them. It provides a higher motivation and initiative for learning. The students are all super excited to get out to the garden. Once you do it, we've already been out there the first week of school, and once you do it, they're asking every day, when are we going to the garden? Today are we going to the garden? So it creates a partnership between the district and the community. These students that hopefully are going to want to come back to the Prairie Garden, not only when they're in Prairie, but when they're in the other schools too, and bring their families along. And Otto's gonna share a little bit about his experiences with the garden.
My name's Otto, and I was in Miss Brown's 3rd grade class. The garden is a learning space where we get to talk with our friends and learn outside of the classroom. It is also a great space to get some fresh air and clear our heads.
Thanks, Otto. All right, so on these next 2 slides, I believe these are just some of the quotes when we initially met with our students that wanted to help showcase this. They were just some things that they shared about it. So I'm not gonna read through them, but I'll give a little time if you wanna read the quotes. These are the things that they had to say about the garden and some pictures of them out there. And then continuing along that, supporting our curriculum, this is my class and Cal from last year. We learn about life cycles of plants and insects during our school year, as well as during summer school, but it's directly connected to our mystery science. And we had a wonderful family, Cal, who volunteered to bring in some butterflies. So he's gonna tell you a little bit about that.
Hi, my name is Cal. I was in Miss Brown's 3rd grade class. Why I like the garden is because it is good for the bugs, pollinators, some butterflies. Last year I let a monarch go in the garden. It is good to know where your food comes from, not just a box or a store. We got to start seeds in our classroom. It was a good learning experience watching them grow.
So this is the monarch butterfly that Cal brought from home, and then we took it to the garden to release it. We do have a butterfly garden close by the Prairie Community Garden, so hoping that maybe this butterfly decides to make next year's home in our garden. We'll have to see. All right, so Prairie Garden throughout the years, there's a lot of work that goes into the garden. If anybody is a gardener, you know that. So the planning phase always starts over every year. And that's something that we did a little bit different in my classroom this past year. And Avery's gonna share a little bit about it, but we helped to design a garden by using an interactive app called Planter. And thank you to the greenhouse at the high school for their plant donations that helped us make that kind of picture come to life. So we looked at an app together and learned what plants grow kind of happily next to each other and which ones don't. And we planned and plotted out our gardens accordingly. And then we kind of drew this map together, and each student went home with this map so that when they came back to the garden, they could kind of see what plants were what before all the fruit or vegetables grew. So Avery's gonna share a little bit about that experience in our classroom.
Hi, I'm Avery, and I was in Miss Brown's 3rd grade class last year. I liked planting the garden with my class. We planted Brussels sprouts, tomatoes, cucumbers, raspberries, gourds, and and flowers. First, we put the seed in a wet paper towel, and we put it in a Ziploc bag. Then we taped the Ziploc bag on the window. After that, we waited for the seed to sprout. Then we moved it to the garden. We used the gardening app where you could place different plants on an online garden. The app tells you which plants grow well together and which ones shouldn't be planted by each other.
Thanks, Avery. Good job. So from the planning, we went to the planting, and we planted seeds in the classroom. And some we just planted as plants in the garden. And we learned different gardening techniques, kind of about how much space each one needs. So we plotted out in the gardening app. It has a grid, so it connects nicely to our math as well. So seeing how many plants can we put in one grid space or in 1 square foot based on the size of the plant. So it was a great opportunity for students to kind of grow that visual learning experience. So we were planting in the classroom and we were planting in the garden. And then it kind of grew, and here we were at the summertime, and Trisha's going to tell you about summer upkeep.
And just for the planting, so you know, it wasn't just 3rd grade. I came at the end of the year and I would grab kids from kindergarten. If I even subbed in a day, I would grab the kids and go out to the garden. And so we had all grade levels, not every student, but mostly all grade levels out there. And so it brought more kids to the garden. But summer upkeep, we're having families, Prairie families, community members, and help water and weed during the summer months. And we have through our Prairie, I forget what it's called, but it's a newsletter that goes home to parents. And then there's a sign up too. And then it's been great to see how there's some donations again to help with the garden. And the garden looks incredible because the weeds keep coming back, and I mean, I've been going back, and you have to go see it. It's beautiful. The weeds are picked. It's being really taken care of because of, you know, technology and Facebook and the newsletter. It just really gets the word out. So summer upkeep has been fantastic. Harvesting, so these are my kids, and let's talk about the big cucumber. We made pickles. There's a picture of that. But again, students are enjoying harvesting the produce to sample during lunch and classroom learning time. And I know now the teachers, there's more teachers getting involved in this, but also the kitchen staff too. If there's tomatoes, the Brussels sprouts, they're involved too, so we can serve to all the kids. So it's just been, again, a great learning time for all. Okay.
And Olivia, are you going to share?
My name is Olivia, and I was in Miss Jameson's 3rd grade class. And some things I enjoyed in the garden are the tire planters, the cucumber plants, and the circle of wood benches to learn on. The garden is a special learning environment because you get to do it outside, and it's a different place to sit down and learn. Some things I learned about growing foods is to wait until the food is ready to be picked and make sure it's the right season, and make sure the plant gets enough shade and sunlight it needs. Some special activities I enjoy doing in the garden is when we made pickles, when we made salsa, and when we would come back every season and look at the changes. The garden is a special place and I'll always remember it.
Something I didn't mention that we tried with the planter app this year was making like a salsa garden. So we put all the ingredients in one bed that you needed to make salsa, and all the ingredients you needed to do pizza toppings in one. So we kind of did a little fun themed gardens as well, so that families could go and say, oh, we want to make salsa. We just need to go here and pick what we need. So we tried a little bit different planning in that aspect. All right, and so here is a little what Trish was talking about. This is the page that we created to be a part of our Prairie Peak, which goes out to the families. And this was in the spring when we were looking for certain things. So we put this out saying, hey, do you have it? Do you want to donate? Do you want to help? And this is a way for the families of Prairie to see what they can do to help out at the garden. But again, it's open to anybody in the community.
Do you have any? Oh.
Yeah, so just our final point, these are the kids that came here tonight, so we'd like to make sure we recognize them. KK Ralph down in the end down there, Linda Siebel, Emma Christopherson, they actually are in 5th grade, so they're former Prairie students. And then Avery, Otto, and Callan, it's current 4th graders as well. And our volunteers that have been all part of the entire garden process over the years. And another, I would also like to recognize Ben Steger and his and the grounds crew for actually reviving it and giving it a fresh look here this past fall.
All right, well, thank you, everyone.
This is wonderful. I learned so much tonight about the whole history and what you've been doing at the garden. And it's not just a garden to drive by. I mean, it's a functional garden. So good job.
Thank you.
We have photos.
Before we all leave, as a token of our appreciation for you all coming this evening, we do have certificates for all of our students. So when I call your name, if you would come and receive your certificate. Otto Westy. Olivia Seibel. Thank you. Emma Christopherson. You're welcome. KK Ralph. Avery Sushana. Thank you. And Cal Mead. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming, and parents, thank you all for getting them here this evening. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Dean. And all your staff for making this possible. You're welcome to stay.
Oh, I'll take a couple of pictures.
In the room. Thank you so much.
She wants to.
Can we leave this here?
Does anyone
Or
want
should we
anything?
move it?
You can.
Leave it? Yeah, then you guys take what you want. There's birds, there's floors,
Sure,
there's.
I will.
It's your
Tomatoes. And like, no, it's
Why not? Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, we're gonna do it a little bit different. Hopefully everybody will, be amenable to this, but we have TED online. So instead of doing the board reports, the individual board reports, and Dr. Brown's beginning of the school year, we're gonna jump down to TED's information on coaching possibilities.
Correct. So I'll just start. Hi, Ted. Good evening. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
I love that presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. The kids were amazing. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'll just set the context. I know you have been having conversations with Rebecca or Deb and Rebecca, your administrative assistant. You know that the board is reading, or we're doing a book study around Great on Your Behalf. Yep, you got it, that's it. And so as a result of reading the book, board members had questions about, hey, what would it look like for the board, you know, to have a coach, right? Teachers have instructional coaches, what could this look like? So what we'd like to happen this evening is provide an opportunity. So we have the price point for 3 sessions with the board. What we really like to do is provide an opportunity for the board members to be able to ask you questions about coaching, whether it's the process or the outcome, so they can best understand what this would look like from your perspective. If you were the coach, and make a decision around if that's the route that they would like to go. So I'll turn it over to board members to ask any questions you might have about coaching, and then we'll go from there. So thank you again for joining us, Ted.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Ted. So this came up kind of as we began reading that book about an opportunity if we would like to bring on a coach to help in our work, to kind of advise us, or Ted, do you begin with just an assessment of our working relationship, or how do you begin the process? Because we don't even know what we don't know, and we don't know what we need.
Yeah. So let me just give you just a kind of a rapid introduction to who I am, so you can kind of understand my context. So, you know, I work at CISA 6. I'm the executive director, CEO of CISA 6. I've been a superintendent of schools, principal, had all those roles, been a teacher. But I'm also an elected official like you all. I'm a mayor in the city of Port Washington, the greatest city in the Great Lakes. And what that has done for me over the course of the last, you know, multiple years is I have great empathy for what it's like to be an elected official and be on the outside of all the actions that are going on, as well as the unique dynamics of independently elected people, while at the same time having a really strong working understanding of what it's like to be as school leader and in the school system, and how those two things can either converge, conflict, or my favorite, which is confluence together. And what I've done in the last 7 years now is I've worked with a lot of school boards across the state of Wisconsin who are healthy in their own perspective, who are healthy in their perspective and the community's perspective, or unhealthy in either of those two areas as well. And what I do is I use the Baldrige criteria of excellence for governance as my base model. And I was introduced to that 18 years ago when I was the superintendent of schools in West Bend. And that helped rapidly accelerate us, where we have this criteria of what do high-performing boards do and not do. And what I would do with you all is when we get together, the very first time is we just come to a baseline and create a language so that we have a culture of excellence amongst ourselves. For instance, you know, are we acting above the line? So a very high-performing board, and Eric's book here, he lays this out pretty well. But a high-performing board has 4 focuses. Number 1, their statutory focus and their obligation for great policy. Number 2 is their local obligation for great strategy. Number 3 is their leadership, and number 4 is focusing on results. So we go into all of that, and then every time we get together, we just start out with blank sheets of paper with what questions do you have about serving on a board? Statutory questions, local policy questions, traditional pieces, and stuff like that. So what we would do the first time we get together is just kind of do a baseline of language. I read this book, I enjoyed his perspective, and I mean, I have this gift of candor. What I didn't see in this text was the realities of local politics. So there's a lot of really strong aspirational strategies in here, and I think what I can help you with, because it's what I enjoy the most, is bridging the realities of being an elected official with local pressures, either from being in the grocery store, social media, or the sidelines, and then how to translate that into excellence as an elected body. So that's my 3-minute kind of like what I would do. And then what we do over time is we just start to work our way from having a common language around, leadership as a team and a group, while having divergent perspectives and ideas. And then working our way to being a high-functioning, proactive elected body whose focus is on the kindergarten's success while monitoring the graduating class. In other words, every action you should take as a board should be focusing on making the current 5 and 6-year-olds in kindergarten the highest performing, most accessible, greatest experiential learning opportunity group that the system has ever had. And then building on that year after year after year, so that there's just a continued tradition of excellence amongst your graduates. And that your diplomas, because of the actions of a highly engaged and strategic board, that your diplomas are tickets to the future, not receipts of an experience. So that's what we would do together.
How would you space the 3 meetings?
Basically, what we would do is we would do those quarterly. So we would start them second quarter, go into third quarter, and then launch into fourth quarter, preparing you for a summer leadership retreat, where we would keep going. Now, the fee structure is, it says 3 90-minute meetings, but it's basically whatever we would need for you to feel comfortable, and then kind of launch into that. And that would be the opportunities that we would face together.
Questions from the board? Interest from the board?
I really like this comment, how he took that to, or how he would kind of look at the board on the local level and how it impacts the community and how you're interacting with that. It's an interesting comment.
Yeah, definitely. We have a wide range of experience on our board right now. And I think it would be a great opportunity to kind of unify us a little more with experience and not as experienced. And, I don't think we can go wrong doing it. I mean, what could we lose doing it? It seems a reasonable amount. It's not so time intensive, and I feel we could really gain as a unit by doing something like this, but I don't wanna push if people are not interested.
Well, I like what Ted said about bringing us from our divergent experiences more together, and we certainly do. I mean, we have a divergency of age, we have a divergency of why are we on the board, and then the experience on the board. I mean, almost 50% of the board are brand new board members, and so the ability to bring us all together and have a greater understanding of our roles and what we have in common in terms of our leadership and responsibilities. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, one of the pieces, if I may, we'll spend a lot of time on is how do you leverage the legacy of long-term board members while equally engaging the new perspectives and ideas of new stakeholders to the board? And how do we race to that authenticity amongst elected officials? Because when you're newly elected, if you have empathy for that, if we can remember that, and the newly electeds know this, there's this really weird period of time where like your first vote's on the budget or the levy. Like you're voting on really big things that you don't necessarily have lots of background knowledge on, and there's weird inside jokes. And what I try to do is I bring tools to eliminate that slow turn to authenticity, and then get you to a fast-moving board that has a lot of choice and voice, that honors the process, but most importantly is heard throughout that process. And I'll be really honest with you, we have a lot of fun too. which I know is like contradictory to board meetings, but it's, Monica will tell you, I bring a whole different level of energy and perspective to like, just the beauty of being elected at the, I mean, there are more, remember, there are more elected school board members in the United States than there are elected officials in all of Europe. So like, we have a real cool obligation at the entry level of democracy to ensure that we're doing it right. And I think that's a fun obligation for us to work on. And frankly, whether I come and help you or not, I'm just proud of you that you're even reflecting upon working together to be better.
Thank you.
To speak in favor of it, when we talk about training in the corporate world, a lot of times they'll talk about the 70-20-10 rule, just 70% being project work. In this case here, it'd be our on-the-job experience we have as board members. 20% is more like coaching within the system, so that would be our book studies and things we do as a board together. And then there really should be a 10% that comes from some kind of formalized external learning. And we haven't had that in the time that I've been in the board. And it'd be great to have a little bit of that 10% focus come in and get that third-party experience of again, like Ted said, the tools that are out there that we may not be familiar with, because you're not going to get that from the 70 or the 20.
So, I think it's a yes.
Okay.
And I think we should schedule that first time. Yeah.
Okay. And these all three are in person, right? Ted, you come to us, they're in person?
Yeah, unless you guys want to drive to Port Washington.
That would be a no, and you're not the best city in the state of Wisconsin, just want you to know that.
The greatest city on the Great Lakes.
Oh, okay, all right, if you say so.
Okay,
But yeah,
so,
what we would do is then is we would get to scheduling this, and then the one thing that I would ask for you to consider is that this would be a non-board meeting night. My experience often is that if this is combined with a school board meeting, there's like a race to get through the content so we can get to the actionable pieces.
Okay.
So that would be something I would ask you to reflect upon. Whatever works for you, I will do. But I've just found that if we have a designated step-away time that we can focus on this and we know there's a start to end, it tends to just stick a little bit better. But that again, what works for you under your conditions is what I'll do.
okay.
And remind me again, Ted, 90-minute sessions, okay, got it, okay. All right, so what we'll do is Rebecca and I will reach back to Deb, your executive assistant, right, and start thinking about dates. And we'll bring it back, information back to the board, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All
It was
right.
nice to meet you all. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see
Nice
you
to
in
meet
person.
you.
And the team is in the back, Ted, from our administrative retreat, so say hi to the team. Thank you so much, we'll be in touch.
All right. Be well, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, perfect. Let me get rid of my cucumbers. They're distracting. Okay, we're going to now move a little up on the schedule to individual board members who have attended something that they would like to share with the rest of us. Anybody? Don, anything? I think many of us were at the back to school welcome and all of, I appreciate the energy and the speaker and all that. The staff said, I thought the whole, everything that I saw in the back to school realm went well, and I received tons of comments from people. They really appreciated it, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to last month, we talked about adopting the CISA 6 administrative performance evaluation to do Dr. Brown's evaluations in the future. And I appreciate that each of you had the opportunity to use the old tool. as we kind of evaluate moving away from what we had been doing to possibly adopting the CISA 6 tool. You know, it's based on standards. I don't know if the standards are exactly the same, but they probably are very similar. The tool that we used, we looked at standards around the country and put that together kind of internally here. That was a local tool that we put together many years ago. So, because I'm not as familiar with the CISA 6 tool, I asked Dr. Brown if she could better describe what would be alike and what would be different in those two tools as we think about that. Because if we are going to adopt a new evaluation, I think we should do that soon.
So, Joan, for our newer board members, so in my previous district, we did use CISA 6 and the dates, the district administrator performance evaluation system. For me, the district administrator, and also the central office team is engaging in what's called COPES, Central Office Performance Evaluation System. And so there will be some alignment and some synergy there in terms of how we navigate the tool. But I will say it is time intensive. And if the board decides to go in that direction, I would highly encourage and recommend that we pay for a coach from CISA to help you through the process, because you wouldn't engage in it to the extent that we would. What I like about the tool is it provides an opportunity for both of us, in this case me, to upload evidence and artifacts to support the work that we're doing, or that I'm doing, as it relates to each standard. And so while I think the tool that we have currently, you're reflective, and some of the things that we've done already helps jog your memory in those spaces around each one of those standards. In this tool, you would actually, I'm being asked as the administrator to upload the artifacts so that you, as a collective unit, can then go in and take a look at those artifacts and evidence that's being uploaded to support how I'm performing in those respective areas. So, one, it promotes the idea of continuous improvement, which is what you all have heard me talk about on numerous occasions. It also provides an opportunity for multiple sources of data, whether qualitative or quantitative, to be uploaded to the tool, in order for you to be able to see that and review as you score, as you would give me a score in each one of those areas. Much like you did here, we have a number here. They have a rubric as it relates to how you would evaluate me in that space. The beauty of it is, as board members turn over, no matter what the year is, all of that information you have a space and a tool to house that information, regardless to who's new to the, regardless of board turnover, because we know it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, that information will always be there, and so you would have access to being able to go back and review any additional information if you'd like to. I think the tool, for me, the tool is designed to focus on the goals, the agreed upon goals, but also provides an opportunity for that growth, for me to continue to grow in the spaces that you would like to see me grow in. And it's also an opportunity for accountability around my performance as it relates to how I'm doing and what I'm doing in the school district. So those are just a few things. Different districts across the state of Wisconsin are, some use dates, some do not. So if you're looking for consistency across all districts in terms of what they use, you probably would not find. You would not find that. It is time intensive in terms of the interim, you bring me together in mid-year and then we have that conversation. CISA coach will come in and help you navigate that process. And then certainly at the end of the year for the summative, it would be the same the same setup. Once you get comfortable and familiar with what the tool can bring, I like the tool. It's time intensive on either side, our side as administrators, but also on the board side, to go through the artifacts and evidence. Try to streamline it in terms of maybe 3 to 5 artifacts for each standard. But you also have the ability to ask for more, or you can ask for more, or you can say, hey, Monica, we only want 1 to 3 artifacts. So that piece is certainly up to you. But the idea is to look at the goals and upload the artifacts, evidence, information, so that you all have that at your discretion or at your disposal to be able to review it and draw, objective conclusions, if you will, around the work that I've been able to do in the district. So it's a huge learning curve. I will share that until you get really good at it, and well, I shouldn't say good, but comfortable with it in terms of what it has to offer and what it can bring. So,
Do you think that if we had, would it be Ted again possibly, or if we had somebody come in and coach us on doing that evaluation, would once be enough? Or are you, so we would evaluate you like mid-year and then also in the spring?
correct.
And you feel that we'd have somebody come in each time and kind of coach us through it? So then the following year, if there's 5 experienced people, do you feel that the experience of going through it 1 year would allow a board member to sit with a new board member and help them through? Or do you feel that we would need this resource every single time we completed it?
So I would lean in on the resource because what they also do is just help facilitate the discussions as well with board members in terms of the evidence or helping you all dig a little deeper if needed around what's there. Do you need more information? This is not enough information. They help facilitate those conversations. I would say a board member after 2 years of it probably could, but it does take some time. It can be, it's a lot there. The tool has a lot to offer, and navigating it can be a bit of a challenge.
So is it, and again, I am just trying to get a handle on, do we actually complete this tool together with the coach?
Yes.
Or, so at this meeting, we complete it, we talk about it, and we...
Right, they help facilitate the discussion in terms of what's there, and if there's any discrepant conversations, if you will, help facilitate to bring you all together to a consensus as a board around each one of those standards. And that was my experience that I had before.
So it's more of a collaborative assessment versus being guided on how to do it. Like this past what we did for tonight, we did individually. This would be more of a collaborative.
Exactly. And there isn't anything, just you all would have, each board member has access to the tool. And so any of the 7 board members can go in at any time and see what has been placed there at any time. The idea though is when we establish the mid-year review, that you all have gotten in there to see what's all in there at that point. And the same for the summative at the end of the school year. So again, it can be time intensive, I will say, but around the notion of a cycle of continuous improvement, it was helpful for me to be able to stay on top of what I've been asked to stay on top of to move the district forward.
Do you have a sense of the cost of that coaching, and then also is there a cost to the tool?
We do pay for the tool, and I don't have that with me. So let us follow up on that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but great question, Carly. let me circle back to Ted at CISA 6 and ask what those two costs are. And I'll just send it to you all in an email.
And then the other question that I have is there any component of that assessment that is like feedback from the folks who report directly to you?
That wasn't part,
Okay.
that was not part of,
I know that wasn't a part of the assessment that's been done in Waunakee, but that is something I would be interested in thinking about.
So there's a obvious, the one we're using right now is a no-cost thing. So we would be adding costs with the hopeful outcome of giving you more direction in helping to improve what it is we're looking to have improved. I mean, that's ultimately what we're doing. Changing the evaluation tool, paying for it to give you better direction.
that's cool, that's cool. Any other questions?
I don't. I like the idea of having artifacts to help, because knowledge on some of the information isn't consistent with all board members. So I like having the artifacts so that we all have equal knowledge when we're doing an evaluation for you. I think that would, give you the best outcome of what we're, doing. And I like the history part of it. Having a new board member come on and having the opportunity to go back and looking at what happened in the past in this goal or in this category, what have we done? And, because many of our goals are 3 to 5 year goals. I mean, they're not just isolated for a year. So I like that component, but it is a cost and.
It's also the ongoing, I mean, you stressed it, that it's a time-consuming thing, both from your end and our end as well. And then the commitment of that going forward, if you have turnover, okay, well, we gotta do some retraining every, so, I mean, that's something to
Think about it.
So, I don't think we're quite ready to jump in yet,
No.
but, Mark?
Well, I agree with Ted. It's more time intensive. The retraining every spring adds more layers to that time. But in the same breath, I know the tool we've used, it's sort of everyone for themselves.
It's so subjective.
And it's my subjectivity versus yours, and
Absolutely.
even in terms of am I high grader or low grader, just by my nature, I mean, so that factors in. So I guess I'm not certain that, I mean, we all have input on in the past, but how helpful it is to our past superintendents or with Dr. Brown in the present, I can see where this would be much more helpful in guiding our superintendent.
Yeah, and really, what is an evaluation for?
Right.
It's to help in growth. I mean, that's really what it should.
Well, and help our district.
Help our
Ergo.
district and help, grow our administrators, so. So we want the price.
For coaching and for the tools.
Right, we'd like to see all of that. And then if there's anything else that you want I feel that by next month, we need to say yes or no to this.
Okay.
Is that fair? All right. John, any comments, questions? Thank you. Okay, moving on. Are we ready to do the start of the school year report?
Yes, and I had
I think it's under your picture.
All right, so just a little piece of information, if you will, that I put together for beginning of the school year report. And so as we begin the 25-26 school year, I am pleased to share that we are off to a strong start. August professional development sessions and LearnFest provided a solid foundation for our staff, while, as you heard today, our Welcome Back kickoff set the tone with the spirit of collaboration and excitement. I extend my appreciation to the Waunakee Dance and Cheer team students, to our students for their leadership with our Boots on the Ground line dance. Members of our Board of Education, for your continued support in that space, and also our central office team, building administrators, and staff for their tireless efforts in preparing for the year ahead. As we all know, as we are closing out a school year, we're actually trying to begin the next one. So there's some blurred lines there, if you will, sometimes. We are also grateful for our partnership with Waunakee Neighborhood Connection in providing backpacks for students, for the many families who engaged with us at the Waunakee Expo on that Wednesday, and for successful open houses held at each of our school buildings. I am told that we had record numbers of parents who came to our schools, particularly at the high school. And so that is a kudos and a shout out to building level administrators for making that happen. More importantly, I would say it was truly a joy to welcome our students back on the first day of school. We saw more smiles. I saw more smiles than not. There were still some jitters in our K-5 babies, and that's okay. They're still trying to figure out what this is about, even though most of them went to K-4, but they're truly in a school building now. And so, great day. I will say our central office team supported, everybody was in the building on the first day of school, supporting our administrators, and basically showing up, and whatever you guys told us to do, we did it. So we were out there. And so with week 2 underway, we just look forward to a year of growth, learning, and continued partnership with our students, families, and community members. So we got off to a great start, and I look forward to what is yet to come. So
Great.
that's our start of school report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
JJ, of course, thought he only had to do it 1 week. But he thought he was going to be in 2nd grade then.
Okay.
Those little 5-year-old minds, they have a plan.
He has a new way of doing school, that's all.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. We just have 2 committees tonight. Budget committee first.
Yeah, budget, we don't have anything to bring to vote. Steve did have Eric Cass from PMA come in to talk to us about the levy, and the committee voted 3-0 to have the administration go forward and look to try to come up with a number of options in conjunction with the PMA to get the tax levy down to about a 6% level. And so that we hope to hear more in October.
Good. And we also had a facility committee meeting. And Steve, could I turn that over to you?
Yeah, thank you, Joan. There's a couple of action items tonight that we're requesting consideration from the full board. So the committee did, first of all, take a look at an update on the middle school. So we do provide middle school updates to the facility committee every month. If you're interested in that, you can look back at the facility committee meeting agenda. We do have the contingency tracker for the middle school, so you can see all of the costs. Dr. Brown did share information with the committee on the fencing around the middle school site. The cost has come down significantly from when we first started talking about that topic, but if you're interested, you can look at the facility committee packet. For tonight, the first agenda item is a request for approval of capital maintenance requests. The committee did review a list of requests that we had brought forward. There was a change. The committee did remove the high school field house basketball project from the projects list. It was removed so that administration had additional time to really review the quotes, so that the maintenance team could work with Nick at the high school to really come up with a recommendation. So that item was removed from the committee's motion, but other than that, the remainder of the list was recommended for approval on a 3-0 motion. If there's any questions from any board members, Rebecca could certainly bring up the list and we could look at the projects. If not, the facility committee was recommending approval of the items that were presented on a 3-0 motion, with the exception of the high school field house.
So anybody want to ask any questions about the projects? John here, Steve here. If not, I do need a motion to approve the list, excluding the basketball.
Motion to approve the maintenance project list.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor of approving that, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Perfect. And then you have one other item?
Yeah, so there's a second action item tonight for requested consideration by the board. So the facility committee did vote to move forward on a project, an engineering project for a consideration of 2026 high school planning. What this project is related to is we have received a proposal from our local civil engineer, Roxanne Johnson, who has done the site civil engineering for our new schools. What we approached Roxanne with was to put together a proposal for basically student safety or student movement between both the existing high school property and the existing middle school property. In addition to that, as part of the study, we would use our traffic engineers, and these are the same, this is the same team that we put together again to review both new heritage and the new middle school, to really come in this fall and evaluate the flow of traffic and the flow of students in between the two buildings that exist on that property. The goal would be to get a report back to the facility committee later this fall. So the facility committee would have an opportunity to consider some potential changes that would be implemented next summer for the fall of 26-27. An example of that could be potentially gating off Community Drive or a portion of Community Drive during the school day. That's just an example of something that could come out of the survey. Come out of the report. The committee did recommend approval on a 3-0 motion. We did attach the proposals here for your review. We'd be happy to answer any question about really the purpose of the study or the folks that we're recommending working with. If there's no questions, we would ask the board to consider approving this recommendation so that we could move forward with this proposal this fall.
Any questions? If not, I would appreciate a motion to pass this.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of doing these studies, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
So we have a list of items next. These are things that came up and were discussed at our summer board workshop with administration, but we didn't vote on anything there. It wasn't noticed. It needs to be noticed properly. So we have kind of a list, and I believe you're going to kind of chunk them together and kind of explain exactly what a yes vote means in the scheme, because we just kind of weighed in on things, but many of these items we would like to kind of push forward so the administration can do some planning in many of these regards. So I don't know, Dr. Brown, if you want to
Yes.
kind of chunk them for us.
Steve, I'll ask for your help with objective number 2. So the first conversations are around board workshop in particular, which, if you recall, not the last board workshop, but the one before, we had two sessions. So that's where the conversation began. So for objective 2, the board has heard information around, well, Steve has the 5 priorities here, but we believe we're asking for consideration for priority 1, what we'd like to do with priority 1, 2, and 3 in terms of those underfunded or unfunded budget priorities. So all in all, we want to make sure the board is in a good place and would like for us to move ahead with that discussion. We still have 4 and 5 that we'll need to continue to have conversations around. One is post-employment benefits, just as a reminder, one is post-employment benefits. 2, priority 2, is termination benefits, and then 3 was contingency. And if you recall, Steve and Ally put a chart together to give you information around how much money we will put in those spaces. And I don't have that in front of me. We've seen it a couple times and just want to make sure that you're in a good place with that and we can move forward with focusing on those 3 at least. And of course, we'll have to come back and understand how we will proceed with 4 and 5. Did I miss anything in that space? So if we can have, so that's 1. Objective number 3, if you recall the conversation around, we will continue to adhere to our policy around class size. But for other positions outside of teachers, we are asking for consideration for, rather than someone retires from a position or resigns from a position, rather than posting for the position and filling it right away, allowing us to assess the need for the position and being able to certainly share the information with you, whether we continue to move in that direction or not, with the idea that we're focusing on goal number 1, right? And so when we look at, for example, support staff in any one of the buildings, are we sure, for example, from a coaching role or from an interventionist role, that the principals and APs have what they need? In this case, this is an opportunity for us to reallocate, instead of coming and asking the board for new dollars, right? We could take a look at reallocating these dollars for a greater need in a space. More specifically, as it relates to goal number 1, is the thought process around revisiting, reposting positions right away. And certainly, we would work with Brian and HR to determine what that would look like. So that's the first bullet in objective 3. The second bullet is around our regular education of paraprofessionals. And again, I just want to reiterate that the thought process is not, we are exploring and examining or taking our 25-26 school year to see if there is a way through attrition to still operationalize our buildings with 1 less para. Again, you're marking those dollars for a future focal point around goal number 1 if needed in that space. The one caveat to that, as I looked at the number of paras that are in each building, is we would have to grant, some of you have heard me say this before, grant middle school some grace. They only have 1. So that's just something we would just need to think about. So that's up for your consideration. And then the other one was reducing teacher supplies from 800 to 500, understanding those are dollars that we haven't historically used all of those dollars. And then understanding that our building principals also, they still have their own budgets. If teachers need something additionally for their classrooms or for our students, that there are dollars that will still be there. So that's objective 3. And then not for a decision tonight, but we did have a conversation about carryover at budget, and so Steve and I will take that information. So what we know is we do not want it to be a use or lose situation for our building administrators. We, however, would like to take that information back to cabinet and have a conversation with them as to how they see us navigating that space moving forward, including, I can't remember if it was Dawn or Chris, but when they look at carryover dollars, creating a form a form for administrators to be able to submit to us at the district level, and we can identify who those people would be as part of that process to help us understand what are they going to use the dollars for. And then sort of an approval process, right, at the central office level for us to understand what are they going to use those dollars for as we continue to move forward. So that one is not what we had originally intended. We were coming to say, hey, board, would you be interested in 10%, 20%, or 25% of the carryover dollars coming back to Bethel to do some other things? But what we heard at budget the other day is have that conversation, think about it differently, again, so it's not a use or lose, and then we can bring that information back to you to help you understand what principals are thinking in that space. But more importantly, what we want to know with all of those pieces is if you're comfortable with moving that forward as we transition into as we move throughout the 25-26 school year. So those are my pieces. I'm going to turn number 4 over to Steve.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. So as we continue looking at the items on the list tonight, when you go to objective 4, what we're really referring to is evaluation of the long-range facility planning process, including the evaluation of safety best practices. We just approved in the previous facility committee recommendation that evaluation that will be taking place this fall. The board is also going to be seeing a very comprehensive update to our long-range planning process, likely at the December board meeting. So as you know, we've worked with a long-range planner for many years. His name is Mark Roffers. He will be gathering and has been gathering for a while, preparing an update to the long-range planning process. We also are working with our team of EUA and Vogel based on the feedback that we have received from the board so far in the planning process. So we're working to bring all that together. We're going to be bringing that information back to the school board, but the objective number 4 is focused on, again, the long-range planning process that we are currently working on, ranging all the way from safety to Mark Roffers to planning with Vogel and EUA. So it's a pretty extensive process. The board will be very involved in it. We'll be doing regular check-ins with the facility committee and the entire board as we continue to move forward. We are already working with Vogel and EUA as an example with a follow-up from the last discussion with the board on looking at additional options to put on the table that would look different than the ones that you've seen so far. So we're continuing to do that work. A4, we've talked about that one again, the allocation of the additional revenues. Thankfully, during the state budget process, districts did receive an increase in spendable revenues. We have checked in with the board a couple times on how we have allocated those revenues in the third draft of the budget and moving into the fall. At the board workshop in August, the board did indicate support for continuing to move ahead as we have been planning, so we're continuing to move ahead in that regard. At the board workshop, we also jumped into the topic of the operational referendum. There was interest in the board in taking what I would describe as a fresh look at this topic. We have had multiple referendums with the community since 2020, and one of the things that we did talk about at the board workshop was the exploration of a concept of getting onto some type of a cycle, some type of a longer planning period, so that the community would have a better understanding of what's coming and how to plan for that, as well as the board would be moving away from a every other year cycle, basically revolving around the state budget to a little bit of a longer term planning process. So that's going to be really important. for administration to work with the board and then ultimately the community to gauge interest in looking at a different approach moving forward with this topic of really operational referendum. The next topic, tax levy, Mark did mention at the last budget committee meeting, the budget committee did jump right into this. We did have a pretty extensive conversation. The budget committee did put a goal out there to go back to the tax levy that was approved by the board in the second draft of the budget. In addition to that, the budget committee did throw a parameter out there of trying to minimize the trade-off between the short-term savings of reducing the levy and the long-term impact of perhaps additional interest costs or a change in our structure for our debt service. So we are going to be working to bring back to the budget committee in October, as Mark mentioned, some additional options. So we're rolling up our sleeves and we're getting after that one right now because we will be making a decision on that by the end of October. We did talk about high school planning and future capital referendum as well. That's clearly connected to the long-range planning process, the conversation we had with safety on the site, as well as the study that Mark Roffers is doing is all connected in together with the high school planning, our work with EUA and Vogel as well. And so really a couple of these are just very, very closely connected. But we certainly do appreciate the opportunity to get confirmation from the board that we're moving in the right direction on all of these. We've already started the committee work on a number of these, and we'd be more than happy to talk about any particular one of these tonight if the board members would like to. Or as Dr. Brown indicated, we're just looking to make sure, get confirmation that we're moving in the right direction in this work.
So Steve, would it be fair to say a vote yes or on this list, and Dr. Brown, is more giving you the latitude to kind of continue moving in the direction of each of these, but a lot of the specifics are yet to be worked out and they would come back to us in a more specific format?
Exactly, yep. What we would view the positive or yes vote from the board is that administration should continue to plan accordingly based on the results of the board workshop, the discussions that we're having with multiple committees, and ultimately many of these individual items will require separate board votes. Tax levy is a good example. Even though we've received direction from the budget committee, the full board will obviously still be voting on that in October. Another great example would be the board voted tonight to move ahead with the safety study at the high school, but then ultimately the board will have to either say yes or no to capital investments at that property. So I would say basically everything on this list will have its own individual votes at a future date, but this just lets us know that we're moving in the right direction by keeping these conversations moving forward.
Okay. Just so everyone understands, it's really much more advisory than specific at this point, and the details would come back to us. Does anybody have any questions for either Dr. Brown or Steve on any of the lists? Because I do want it formally, I would like a motion for the list so that they do have that assuredness that we are supporting what this list says.
I move that we support the objectives presented tonight by the administration to continue working on the details.
Second.
Okay, any questions for either of our administrators here? If not, all in favor of moving forward with this list, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, does that give you?
That's just what we needed.
Need to keep moving, keep working. Okay, next we have a resolution for temporary borrowing. We kind of introduced this last month, but now we have more specifics. Steve, I'll hand that over to you.
Thank you, Joan. This is an annual request to borrow cash flow. The purpose for this is there is a wide variance between when a school district receives our revenues, which is very sporadic throughout a year, and our expenditures, which are very consistent. It's very common for school districts to need to request cash flow borrowing during the year. We're in a borrowing, I would say a borrowing group with 7 other districts. We combine all of our borrowing together to really save costs on that borrowing and seek a better interest rate. So joining together with other districts is very advantageous in this process. What you see in the board book is called a parameters resolution. It authorizes the district to proceed with the borrowing not to exceed $12,900,000. It's a very similar amount to last year. The sale will actually take place this week. That's when all of the districts that are a part of this borrowing group then have the opportunity to participate and sign the final paperwork. So administration is requesting that the board approve that parameters resolution, which does allow us to move forward with this borrowing pool with the other 7 districts. We would request a voice vote on this one so that everyone's vote has been recorded, and we're recommending consideration of this evening.
Thank you. So I would need a motion and a second, and then we need to do a roll call vote.
How did the not to exceed interest change from last year? Was it bigger?
It was a little bit bigger last year, yeah, just slightly, but I mean, it's very consistent with last year, but it's a couple $100,000 less.
So I do need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve. Dawn got it.
Motion and
I'll second.
second. So then I do need to do this by voice, starting with Heather.
Aye.
Myself, yes. Ted?
Aye.
Carly?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to our administrative update from our elementary and secondary curriculum directors. Welcome.
You got a snack for us.
You got a salad for you. Steve, did you eat all that salad back there yet?
You know what?
That's a whole different conversation.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Amy Johnson. I'm the Director of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Tim Schell, Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction.
So during the overview, we'll kind of be switching off. I'll give mostly a K-6 update, and Tim will give mostly a 7-12 update, but some things kind of cross our grade spans. So thank you for that.
That was not working earlier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is the one.
All right. So obviously we'll start with our mission, vision, and equity statements. This grounds all of our work that we do. And then nestled under that is our vision for teaching and learning. And this was a collaborative vision that we developed several years ago, and then our system-wide team, that's the department chairs that we meet with regularly, they revised this January 2020. So this is very much part of our work with them and also of our departments. And then, of course, everything is grounded in this first goal. By 2029, we are striving for all of our schools to significantly exceed expectations. And that is really what is guiding our work this year. So here are some of my key priorities for the 25-26 school year. My main goal and my main role, really, is to support all of the K-6 buildings. So that's the 3 K-4 schools, Arboretum Heritage Prairie, and then the intermediate building. So I support not only the administrators, but also those school teams. So I provide the support in a couple of different ways. So I meet monthly with each school's administrative team, the principal and the AP, and those are data meetings where we really dig into their school improvement plan and kind of look at their progress each month on how they're working towards those goals. Then twice a month, I meet with the entire K-6 administrative team, all of the principals and all of the APs, and that's really a nice opportunity for us to collaborate, to do some professional learning together, also to share ideas and strategies as we're all working towards goal number 1. So new in the school improvement template this year is a very specific purpose for them to outline their key strategies that they want to use to meet their goals, and then action steps for that. So one way that I will support the schools is really looking at those key strategies and working with the principals and with the coaches and with the continuous improvement teams to provide feedback to teachers through walkthroughs, to provide school-based professional development, but we're really grounding our work in those strategies that the CITs developed in the SIPs, with lots of acronyms, of course, in education. And then here's another acronym that you're very familiar with, PLCs. We continue to support this model and really refine it every year. So at the K-6 level, what we're really working on is enhancing our use of data protocols, really making sure that teams know how to talk about the data that they bring when they complete their county formative assessments, and then what steps that they're going to take to reteach or provide support to students. So that's kind of where we are on our PLC journey. Right, so here are some of the main things that I'm working on. And I could probably talk an hour about each of these bullets, but don't worry, I won't do that tonight. But if there is anything that you want to learn a little bit more about, this would be something that we could definitely bring into the curriculum committee. So right now I'll just give you a high-level overview on each of these. So for K4, we are starting our second year of our new math curriculum, illustrative mathematics. It typically takes 3 to 5 years before we can fully implement a new curriculum effectively. So we're in year 2 of that. We have been providing a lot of professional development to the teachers. This has definitely not been kind of a one and done, you're trained and now that's it. So our first year we provided 3 full days of training. We had another full day this August. And then in addition to that, we have been providing kind of modeling, demonstration lessons using one of the IM trainers. The coaches have provided support. The principals and I have also had specific training just for leaders so that we can support the implementation, and when we are doing our walkthroughs, give really specific feedback to support the implementation. So that's been really intentional, and we will just keep providing that support as we continue to learn about and implement this new resource. So the second thing is build on last year's Act 20 implementation. So that is the reading legislation that we have been working on for a couple of years. Last year was the first year where we implemented the state required screener. So we're doing our third administration of that this fall. That's Ames Web Plus. And we learn something every time we do it. There are some different measures that they've added for fall. And then the testing company has also redone their norms. So we'll have another learning opportunity this year where we're learning about the new measures that we're doing this fall, and then also those new norms. The next bullet, they refine universal reading instruction. So we have a lot of really solid pieces in place for this. We have been acquiring some more decodable texts that are aligned with our phonics curriculum. And we've been really working on improving our small group instruction. So those are 2 of our main initiatives in that area. And then the last one for K4 is scaling up our use of high-impact reading interventions. So last year, when students were qualified for a personal reading plan based on the screener, we had a variety of different interventions that we were trying because it was a whole new process for us. So the reading department and I have been really analyzing the data that we got from those interventions, and we've been trying to match what was the most effective intervention for a certain profile of student. So we have gotten some data back from our screener where sometimes the students are accurate, but they aren't hitting the fluency or the benchmark for the speed or the rate. And so we have found some really effective fluency interventions. So scaling up, knowing which intervention is the best fit for students, and then expanding the use of those. So that's really exciting because we found some really good interventions that we're going to expand this year. So that's K4. 5, 6, we are implementing new resources in both ELA and mathematics. Luckily, those teach as a team, so the teacher isn't implementing both of those, but it still is a really big undertaking for the building as a whole. So last year, Tim and I, well, the last couple of years, we've been engaging in a math pilot and review process. And so 5-8 or 5 Algebra 1, we've adopted Amplified Desmos Math. And that is really built on the foundation of illustrative mathematics. So we will have a consistent approach to mathematics K-8. So that's really exciting for us.
Amy, can I just ask a question? As you completed the first year of the illustrative math in the K4, you did it throughout K4. You didn't start in kindergarten, I mean, you just did K4.
Absolutely.
Do you have any anecdotal kind of, is it, I mean, I know that we hadn't had a change in mathematics curriculum in like a long, long time.
Right.
And I know change is hard, but, you know, how are they doing with, because this is a really different program.
Yeah. Yeah, so everyday math had been in place for like over 2 decades, I think. So yes, it was definitely a shift. We did a lot of work in the years leading up to the shift, but it still definitely was a different approach. It was a learning curve for the teachers, but it also was for the students too, because the program does require more kind of peer discourse. It's a little bit more problem-based. So that was a little shift for the students too, that, you know, the teachers were inviting them into the mathematics and they were like getting in hands-on right away, talking with their partners. It was a little different routine for them too. But people are feeling really good about year 2. You know, anytime you implement a new curriculum, the first year is really hard.
You know, but if they're good at the beginning of year 2, that's a real plus.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's a great program. But, you know, I guess I just was curious how that first year went and how year 2 is being brought into.
Yes, yes.
Do they feel they have to get in there and supplement, or is the program pretty robust so they have what they feel they need?
Yeah, well, we at the elementary level have 75-minute block, and this should take 60 minutes. Now the first year takes us a little longer as we're trying to figure it out. But we're really excited about that extra 15 minutes because that is when they can pull groups and do some reteaching, or they can do some extensions. But for the core resource, it's extremely well aligned to the standards, so they aren't really having to bring things in like they did have to for everyday math.
Yeah, everyday math, I know there was a lot of supplementation.
Yep.
Really lacked.
Yep.
Good to hear.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, so we're really excited about the K-8 approach, and then in ELA, they have adopted Amplify, which is the resource that middle school has used for a couple of years. So that will be a really nice flow from intermediate school to middle school with that same resource. So again, we're really excited about that. We're using the iReady assessment in 5-6. Middle school had used this for a while. Intermediate started it last year. And one component of that is a personalized learning piece. So after the students take the assessment, the teachers are able to assign kind of just right next step learning for them through this computer personalized learning product. So we're learning about that at the end of the month, so we're excited about the possibilities that that can bring too. So a couple of our kind of current challenges or current needs. So here's another acronym for you, HQIM. That's high quality instructional materials. So that really just refers to the materials that teachers are using that are very aligned to the standards and that have also been evaluated against some criteria through like ed reports or an evaluation program like that. So it used to be that we would have our curriculum renewal cycle and we would do our piloting and investigation and we'd purchase our textbook and then we'd hang on to that textbook for 7 whatever years and then we'd buy another textbook, right? So a lot of these resources now come with a digital component, not just digital for the teacher, but also like individual student subscriptions that are essential for the program. So the first year, we have to include all of that and then maybe a few paper teacher manuals. But really every other year, it's kind of that full cost each year. So that's a potential challenge for our budgets when we're trying to schedule out our curriculum renewal cycles. We don't really have that relief, like, okay, it's a big ELA adoption, but then we don't have to invest in ELA for a few years. It's an annual expense now. And since we've adopted for ELA and math, K-8, that's something that you'll probably be hearing more about from us. So we just wanted to make you aware of that. And then that second item is maintaining resources to support instructional improvement. So that we're talking about people, right? We're really fortunate in this district to have instructional coaches, interventionists, ed tech specialists, LEM-tech directors, and all of those folks provide support to our teachers to really improve instruction. And so that's something that Tim and I are really passionate about, really making sure that we can maintain those resources. I had to take a drink of water. This is still my slide.
Yep.
So C&I doesn't happen all on its own. We collaborate with all of our colleagues. So Ed Services, of course, which is Lisa Jondal, the Director of Student Services, Tiffany Loken, Director of Special Ed. We collaborate regularly with Rick Franz, Director of Technology, as I was just saying, with all of those resources that have the digital subscriptions. Annie is a great support and collaborator when we're communicating internally and then also externally. And then, as I mentioned, we also meet with teacher leaders. So system-wide, we meet monthly with the department chairs, and then also just administratively in general. So I'd be happy to talk about any K-6 questions now or after Tim's update.
Go ahead, Tim.
Giving you all wait time, okay.
That's good.
So, very much in parallel with what you just heard from Amy, because, we do have one goal and one team. The key priority at the secondary level this year for me is supporting our middle school and high school in pursuit of goal number 1. And that breaks down into a few components here. First, similar to what you heard with Amy's discussion of elementary, is we're continuing implementation of high-quality instructional materials at the secondary level. We are also, we're doing implementation of high-quality instructional materials where we have large common courses like middle school ELA, middle school mathematics, Algebra 1 at the high school, but we also have a lot more breadth to the curriculum, particularly at the high school level. So coherence isn't always through adopting an instructional resource. We need to make sure that we have effective teaching practices happening in every classroom. So we're working to come into classrooms with a particular instructional framework in mind and provide some fast feedback for teachers in addition to educator effectiveness on how things are going. So that's something that we're working on with the middle school and high school administration this year. Also trying to grow our instructional leadership, just as Amy works with the K-6 principal team, I work with the 7-12 principal team. Supporting our continuous improvement teams is a priority for middle school and high school, just as it is in the intermediate school and the 3 elementary schools, and strengthening our data practices, both in school-wide groups like our Tier 2 teams, and also in our individual course teams, making sure that we're using our formative assessments, and then if we identify kind of general areas that need support in a unit or lagging skills with a particular student, that we are addressing those and not just waiting till the end of the unit. At this point, I do want to share some high-level information on our state assessments, and this will go to, most of this will build towards state report cards when they come out later this fall. We do have a curriculum committee meeting coming up, I believe, on September 24th. We'll bring in more of a breakdown by school and grade level for the curriculum committee, but what you see here is information regarding our district level performance on the state assessments for English language arts. These occur in grades 3 through 11. That's the forward exam for ELA in grades 3 through 8 up through middle school. The pre-ACT for 9th and 10th graders at the high school, and the statewide ACT for juniors. And what we see this year, you can see a column chart. This isn't addressing opt-outs. We do have a small percentage of students who families choose to not have them participate in testing. It's small. It has been decreasing over the last few years, a trend we're happy to see. Non-tested kids count towards report card performance. So what you see here is that district-wide, we saw some gains in ELA this year. You can see that our overall percentage of students meeting proficiency or at the advanced level of proficiency rose by a little over 1.5 points. A lot of that was driven by a 4-point increase in our percentage of students scoring in the advanced performance level. Now you'll see something called an index score. This is noted at the bottom. The index score is presented because this calculates towards the achievement section of the report card, which is a very large component of our report card weighting. And what the index score does is it assigns weights to students in the yellow, orange, the blue, and the green. So students in the approaching category, which is the yellow-orange category, get a half point. Students in the green block, those are students who are at the meeting proficiency level, they are credited a point. And students in the advanced performance level, that's the blue layer, they receive in the calculation 1.5 points. And then you do the sum, you divide it by the total number of tested students. And when you get an index score where you cross over 1, that means you have more students who are advanced than you have students below not meeting proficiency. And that's a very great place to be. So again, the news in ELA overall is positive. It looks a little different grade by grade, but for the district, an upward performance trend year on year. And we're only presenting 2 years because you may remember that the state of Wisconsin adjusted the cut points for the performance levels last year for ELA and mathematics. So to get a true comparison, we can only go back 2 years for ELA and mathematics. So all of our data is presented on a 2-year comparison. For mathematics, it's a little more mixed. You can see that our percentage of meets and advanced declined year on year, but because we did have increases in the percentage of students in the advanced tier, you'll actually see that our index score was basically stable. It went up negligibly, it's basically stable. And again, we had some grades that showed increases year on year. We had some grades where that was not the case. We'll expand on that at the curriculum committee meeting on the 24th. The next 2 areas are core content areas. They actually don't calculate towards our report card numbers, but they're very important for long-term student success. So district science is assessed at the state level on the forward in grades 4 and 8 and the ACT in 11th grade. And what you see here is that science did decline last year, year on year. I expect this to be a very temporary phenomenon. We'll go into this more at curriculum committee. But we did have some softer results in the junior ACT. That, of course, is that cohort is a wonderful set of students, but that was the cohort that was in 6th grade when the pandemic started and didn't finish 6th grade in the schools, and then their 7th grade year when they were transitioning from more of a limited number of teachers to having 8 teachers a day across the curriculum. They got to step through that transition virtually in the 2020-2021 year. And that's had some lasting consequences, and that has shown up in our science data.
So the ACT is making science optional going forward, right? Is that going to impact being able to track year to year?
That's a really great question, Carly. So yeah, there's some significant changes. ACT is calling it the enhanced ACT. It's a change. For Saturday testing, which is what a lot of us are familiar with, science is optional. The composite going forward is not going to be calculated, including science. Colleges and universities will see the science score, but the ACT composite going forward is going to be derived from the English score, the reading score, and the math score. However, for the state of Wisconsin, all subjects are going to be administered. Okay. And part of that is because state law and federal law require that high school be assessed at least once in the high school grades, and ACT is how we do that in Wisconsin. So for our purposes as a school district, we'll be able to see uninterrupted data. But for our kids outside of state testing ACT, they will see a change, and they'll have to think about what scores to send to colleges and universities.
Okay, thank you.
Social studies is not assessed at the high school on the ACT. It's assessed on the 10th grade Ford Social Studies, the only Ford exam that's administered in the high school grades. And what we see here is that our percentage of meets and advanced increased, as did the index score. And again, we'll expand on these in more detail in a few weeks at curriculum. So swinging back out of assessment data, some of our current challenges and current needs in secondary C&I, maintaining and growing talent. I'm happy to say that I've had the opportunity to visit the classrooms of our new teachers at the middle school and high school so far, brief visits, because they're still getting settled in, but we hired well. I was very pleased with what I saw. We need to continue to hire well. And not only from the standpoint of making sure that every student has a great teacher in each of their classrooms, but also how are we cultivating our next generation of teacher leaders? Because administrative leadership is important, and we also need to maintain, grow, and as we have career transitions in our administrative ranks, make sure we're recruiting the best possible candidates. A system like ours depends an awful lot on teacher leaders. And growing those teacher leaders has to be done intentionally. And so we can never have enough talent in our system. So I just want to kind of call that out. You know, I will say that our commitment to maintaining competitive compensation in Dane County, your commitment to doing that is very helpful in that area. Just before Amy and I came up, you were working through some elements of our high school campus facilities planning. That is up here as a current challenge and current need, not so much for the long term. We have long-term needs, but we don't want to rush that. We need to make sure we are making sure the long-term facilities planning piece is extremely thoughtful, size to our enrollment projections. I put this up here because hopefully by this time next year, we will have part of the high school program in the middle school. And we have a lot of pieces, and thank you for moving some of those along this evening. We have a lot of work to do between now and then. And it seems like it's a year away because it is a year away, but you know, when we think about what programs will be in there, how will lunch operate, you know, as prosaic as when the teachers go on summer break in June, will they know their room assignments when they come back? And also, just from the standpoint of kind of clearing the field so high school administration can really focus on continuous improvement for goal one. I mean, they'll still have to look at facilities planning, but the more we can get quickly to clarity around that, the better it's going to be for instructional leadership. The third one is more of a long-term one. It's not entirely a challenge. I mean, our economy is changing. The global economy is changing. So we have some exciting new employment opportunities in all likelihood for our graduates here. You know, there's a big commitment to bringing more manufacturing back into the United States, and that's probably the future that our graduates are going to be moving into in their early career. So those are opportunities. We also have the impact of AI technologies, and there's a lot of discussion. What does that mean for entry-level work, or what, you know, I use talent towards the top of this slide, what increasingly you hear called early talent positions, and what will the impact of these new technologies be on these positions. So, you know, I think that's going to be for the high school level as we make sure our students are career ready after they graduate. That's definitely in more flux than it's been in a long time in American education. I'm just going to, certainly happy to address any questions, but I'm going to try, you know, for timeliness to move right down this list. What do we have going on? Curriculum renewal cycles. We're in the second year for secondary ELA for this. This is very similar in some respects to our old program evaluation cycles. Science is kicking off this year. Those are some important ones. This is the second year of our new middle school schedule, the 6-period day. I would say based on outcomes and based on anecdotal feedback, it met some of the objectives we were hoping it would meet in its first year. And I think as we build into it with more experience, we'll see even better results. We're in our second full year of Amplify ELA as our ELA resource at the middle school. We learned a lot in the first year of Amplify ELA. And you know, as Amy said, it can take some time often to grow into new resources. And so we have made some adjustments for this year in middle school ELA to kind of open up more parts of the new resource, and I'm excited to see what our teachers are going to be able to do with their students this year. This is also district-wide, the second year of our NextPath implementation. NextPath is a data platform we use to look at results. It replaced an earlier product called EduClimber. When you hear Amy and me and other administrators talk about using data more effectively, NextPath is part of that process. This also, similar to the intermediate school, is our first year of full implementation of Amplified Desmos Mathematics, which is based on illustrative mathematics. And so that is 7th grade math, 8th grade, and Algebra 1 at the high school. And the last two I want to touch on. Something that has been important for us the last few years at the high school is increasing participation, again, on a student choice basis, in higher rigor courses at the high school. We are shifting away from prerequisites starting this coming year at the high school, except for basic sequential prerequisites, which is you take French 3 before you take French 4. But the idea that we're going to insist on a certain grade besides simply passing a previous course, we're going to move away from. There are a lot of reasons why students might have inconsistent performance in a year, and if they want to bet on themselves and take a challenging course, we don't want to stand in their way. So we anticipate that's going to entail increased participation, again, based on student preferences, in dual enrollment courses, which really cover a wide variety of content areas, and in advanced placement, which also covers many content areas. We also are going to be doing some work with students this year to support this in understanding better from our students at the high school on what are their interests, what do they perceive as barriers to taking challenging coursework, who are their trusted adults that they look for in the high school for mentoring when they work through these questions. Last but not least, I spent some time on the last slide talking about high school campus planning. As we are all very well aware, we are in the late stages of construction on our new middle school facility, and our middle school program will be moving a few blocks down South Street for next year. And that new middle school, as you know, is going to be an amazing facility. It's an extremely significant investment by our community, and it's incumbent on us to make sure that our shift of the program to the new buildings efficient, effective, and that we're making good use of the community's dollars there. So that's something, just as the high school administration is facing their facility planning pieces, Jeff Keenis, Mike Zabel, the middle school team is doing the same for the middle school. Closing questions here. We do have a curriculum committee meeting coming up on September 24th. There'll be 3 later in the year. Our next C&I board update like this is going to be on February 9th. So we're happy to take any questions that we could answer now, or if there are recommendations besides the assessment piece that you'd like us to expand on for September 24th, we'd certainly love to hear that.
Any questions for Amy or Tim? I do want to thank you for the extensiveness of what you presented, and the leadership you have in that meeting our #1 goal. And I know you both take it very, very seriously, and I appreciate that, and I think the whole board appreciates that. You know, why can't we be #1 academically? Because we can in so many spaces, and so I appreciate your leadership in those areas.
Thank you. and thank you for setting a challenging goal for us.
Remember, it's not a one-year goal.
It's not a one-year goal, but we do appreciate the goal.
Yeah, it's good to aim high.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. Our last administrative item is Tiffany needs another para. More students have joined us.
Be a never-ending stream of students joining us this year. So, yes, we have a new student coming into Heritage that requires full-time support. So that makes of all of our 22 students that qualify under this funding source, so qualify under transfer of service, this student requires a full-time paraprofessional support as well, along with the other 7. So that makes 8 students that have moved into the district that already had that support written into their IEP coming into the district.
So, there we have it, another one-on-one. And has the student started?
Yep, just started, and we have somebody kind of in the pipeline that's interested, so we would obviously want to move forward until we have approvals.
Good, thank you. So I would be looking for a motion to hire this person for our student.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other questions for Tiffany or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, Tiffany, keep doing your good work. And that brings us to announcements and correspondence. The first thing there is our WASB regional meeting, which is September 30th. It's a Tuesday night, end of the month. And I think you want to register us by the 19th. So if you know you can attend, it's at Hilton, I think, in Sun Prairie, I saw. Starts at 6, usually runs 2.5, 3 hours. There's a meal, presentation. There is an early.
There's an earlier PD.
Yeah, and
Try to make the PD
yeah,
on chronic
Yeah.
absenteeism is the PD prior to.
and you need to know, because that's an extra fee for the early. Do you know what time the early starts? 4?
Let me look it up.
And it's okay, you can.
I want to say 4.
So please let Rebecca know prior to the 19th if you're interested in going to that. And when we get the names, maybe if we want to coordinate rides, we could coordinate. But we can do that if you just feed me the names. I can kind of help coordinate if anybody wants to ride together to something. All right.
I don't see the time on their website.
I didn't
for the
see it
pre-meeting.
for the pre-meeting.
I don't
I'll
see
look
on
it
there.
up and let you know tomorrow. I'll
Okay. Perfect. And we are ending with some 2 wonderful messages. Dr. Brown, do you want to?
Yes, we'd like to recognize Mr. Borowski and as the principal of the high school and the administrator team, our associate principals, for their recognition and being recognized as one of the best high schools in U.S. News and World Report. So kudos to Mr. Borowski and his team. There are lots of high schools across this nation. I don't know how many, but to make this list, I think it's pretty impressive. Understanding we are going to continue to climb that list as we continue to do great work in our school district. And then I'd also like to recognize Mana Jean Hartley. She is a social worker at the intermediate school. She received the School Social Work Career Achievement Award through the Wisconsin Social Workers Association. So just wanted to highlight her and give her, we're gonna say we can clap twice for both of them. It's from the kickoff, yeah. Okay, anyway, but just wanted to recognize both the Waunakee High School team, and then Mana Jean for her hard work and dedication, as she has clearly shared with me that she was the first social worker in our school district and was the only social worker for quite a long time. So when you see her, please congratulate her on her achievement. And that's all I have.
Thank you, and congratulations to both of those teams and to Mana Jean. Moving on to consent agenda. If, again, we can take it all at once. If you have any questions on the financial part in there, there's approval of the Fund 21 accounts, as well as approval of the fund balance allocations. I'm sure Steve would help us out. So as you think about that, I would like to make mention of the gifts. We have 3 gifts that we have in consent agenda this month. There's $750 that will be going to our Warrior Media team from Jim and Michelle Dama. We have a $1,000 Pride Pump contribution from Mefford Oil, which can be used for anything in our district. And we have $1,000 earmarked for Heritage Special Education from M. Joshua Phillips and Paulina K. Phillips. So I want to thank all of those individuals for those donations to our school. So with that pause, how do you feel about the consent agenda? All of it, or questions to Steve about any of the financials? Up to you.
I move we vote for the entire agenda with one vote. Second.
All right, so we're going to take the whole thing with one vote, and we have a motion and a second. Anybody have any questions? If not, all in favor of the entire consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. All right, thank you. And that brings us down to board business. Yep, nothing under there. Future agendas. There are some, there are 2 meetings that I need to have a motion and approval because they're full board meetings. One is our tax levy meeting, which is October 30th, and we need a start time for that. Could we have that start time at 5 or 5:30? It is a Thursday night. What is the earliest we could do that start time?
5:30.
5:30? Speak up, Carly, or forever hold your peace. Dawn, you think you could do 5:30?
I won't be able to attend on the 30th.
You will be?
I will not be able to.
Oh, you won't be. Okay, so, and we don't know about Christopher, but can we say 5:30? Okay, so 5:30 tax levy, so I need a motion for that meeting and a second. We need to motion that in.
Motion for the tax levy meeting to be on October 30th at 5:30.
Second. Second. So, you have a second, Rebecca? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And then we also have a date for our fall curriculum presentation through some surveying by Rebecca. We have settled on Monday, November 17th. And we generally start those earlier because we do have staff members that we use instead of having them go home and come back. Could we do a 4:30 start?
I will make it if I can.
And but you could come later
Yeah.
and still see, half of that presentation. So 4:30. Anybody have a suggestion? Either? Can we start at 4 then?
Yeah.
We'll have you come when you can. Dawn, would that work for?
I'll come when I can. I can block that on my calendar.
Okay, it is a Monday night. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so I do need a motion for that meeting, which would be Monday, November 17th, beginning at 4 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And then we talked briefly about a middle school tour, and I happened to run into Adam, our project manager. He suggested we wait until the general power is in there, which is the beginning of November, or he thinks it'll be in there sometime mid-October or the end of October. So we'll bring that back next month, but we're gonna try to get in for a tour maybe in November. So just pause on that. I have 3 committee meetings that Rebecca has been able to pull together. Curriculum, September 24th at 4 p.m. Budget, Monday, October 6th at 7:30. And facility, Monday, October 6th at 8:30. And that's all I have for meetings. Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for pulling that together. That always helps us at this time. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.